Finally back at our old Tupelo yard. We did leave the better half. If you guys remember, if you saw the other videos, we had a couple hundred colonies here, and then this side was extremely good and the other half was not so good, and we moved them away. I could never figure out if it was just a location, because they're not that far away. The two spots where we had the hives at were not that far away. I don't know, it's probably just these hives are a little better, but hopefully they're still pretty good. We haven't been here in 5, it may almost have been 6 weeks, so it's been a while. They made Tupelo, they made Wildflower. I remember there was a little robbing going on here last time we were here, and we did rebuild some with cells, but it's been quite a while. I haven't had time to check any of them. They were originally good when we put them on Tupelo, but how they are now, I'm not really sure. We were at a yard a couple days ago. It was our other, we thought was going to be Tupelo yard. It didn't turn out to be. There were about 96 colonies there, hive and halves like this. And as soon as we started getting into them, well, not long after we started getting into them, they started robbing like crazy. There was just, the first pallet we opened in the yard just was getting annihilated. It was some of the worst robbing I've ever seen. There was periods of time where you couldn't even see the box. There were so many bees on there. We threw tarps over them. I dumped all my drinking water on top of the bees, just trying to beat them off, plug the entrances. I put out like a little open feeder, way far away out of the yard. We fed all the other hives, trying to get them off that pallet, but they were just absolutely determined to kill each other. At the end, you just got to pull the tarps off and leave. So I'm sure we lost at least a pallet over there. And it's just hard when the weather's kind of iffy like this. It's just very overcast. It's just raining a little bit here and there every day, all the time. It just makes them want to rob on top of just, it's August, so they want to rob there already. There is a cloud coming, a storm. It's not supposed to hit us, but I'm a little worried about it. So we're going to have to be really cautious here. We're going to try to be quick. Ideally, I want to queen check all of these, fix them, rebuild the dead outs, medicate them, and give them a bucket of syrup. And I don't know. I don't know how much we're going to be able to. We were able to medicate and feed the other yard, but all we could really do was like stack the dead outs as we came across them on a strong colony. We'll have to come back and rebuild that yard, because there were, I don't know, we lost a dozen or so hives, it seemed like, over there. So we may have to do the same thing here. We'll have to just be really cautious, not leave any honey frames out. I'm leaving the buckets over there on the truck, so I don't bring them over here to draw them over, to hopefully not trigger any robbing. We'll see how it goes, but we've got this yard and we've got 2 more locations. I'm going to try to hopefully get done this week. It's hard with the weather the way it is to really just knock out a lot of hives. We're kind of chipping away at it, but once we're done with this yard and the other 2, all of our outside bee yards have been fed, medicated, queen checked, foundation's been counted, and rebuilt to the best of our ability. And then we've got, I don't know, 200-300 hives or something like that back on the farm we need to run through. They're mostly singles. They shouldn't take too long. They're probably in bad shape, I imagine. But then we'll kind of be done. We'll kind of finish that first big round of all the colonies and have an updated inventory and see where we're at for the year. Yeah, so what I was worried about did happen. Got here as soon as we started to light our smokers. The bottom just completely fell out. Everything got soaking wet, real heavy rain. I checked the weather before we left and it was supposed to be okay, but the weather here is just, it's impossible to predict this time of year. It just hit us so quick. The wind was strong. It blew that storm over to us, but you see we've got good blue sky now. Radar is, if it's accurate, is showing we've got at least 1 good hour of sun, so we're gonna have to be quick. We are just going to go ahead and crack these things open. If they look good, they get medicine, we close them back. We give them a box of foundation. We're going to try to draw that out. And if they look bad or they're dead, we're going to try not to pull too many frames. We're just going to stack the dead outs. If they're still good or if they're super weak, just go ahead and stack them on a good colony. We may have to come back and rebuild the splits at some other day. And we can always put the buckets on. I went ahead and dropped them in the grass a little ways away from the hives, just in case we have to pull out of here. I'll just leave all the equipment here. It was so bad I didn't even want to get out of the truck to unload it. And we can put buckets on in the rain, and we can pick up equipment in the rain, and all this stuff. I'm not worried about the foundation if it rains a little bit. We have the tarps, so kind of try to be in and out here. Hopefully there's no robbing. I am a little bit concerned about that, but we just kind of need to get this yard knocked out. We still have so much to do. All right, we're gonna get to it. Well, I can't decide if the Weather Channel or Mother Nature hates me today. We got the yards done. We hauled butt, which means we took shortcuts. So we didn't do a thorough job, but medicated them, threw a D-box foundation on them, or if there were some dead outs, supered with the comb, and didn't rebuild anything. You know, we did the first 3 rows. We started here, did this row, did that row, 3rd row. Got almost towards the end of the last row there, still expecting it to rain, right? I mean, we had an hour. I mean, it had just rained. Radar was showing another hour, big storm, you know, so we're stressed out, just going as quick as we can. And bees were pretty mean. And it didn't help that I forgot to bring dry pine straw again. So, of course, the straw here, it just got soaked. So we opened the entire yard with no smoker. You can imagine how that went. I'll be pulling stingers out of my pants this evening. Anyway, so we get down to the last row, and then we kind of look up at the sky, and we're like, huh, that's weird. It's really blue. There's a little cloud now that's coming, but I mean, most of the day it was just this beautiful, like that, just beautiful, picturesque sky. And we're like, oh, I don't think it's gonna rain. You check the weather. Oh, it's not gonna rain at all. So I was like, crap. So we were able to, at that point, we were right at the tail end of it. So we had 3 dead outs down there. We rebuilt. But at that point, I already had medicine in here. We already had supers on them. I wasn't going to come back and queen check everything, because we didn't queen check anything. We just crack them in half. If they look bad, okay, we pulled 1 frame. You don't see eggs. Then we just stacked it, and so we could rebuild it next time we come around. So kind of a sloppy job. I don't actually know what's in this yard. I mean, just because it's full of bees doesn't mean a whole lot. And sometimes you can tell if they're stressed out, if they're queenless or sick or something. But when you're also opening hives without a smoker, they're stressed out and unhappy, and, you know, being a little cranky. So, you know, there's really no way to know. If you're not pulling frames, you can't really know what is going on in that hive. But we just didn't think we had the time. So in the end, we had 10 dead outs here. So we rebuilt 3, so there's 7 dead outs. And I guess there were some dead outs from the last time too. I remember last time I was here, we were pulling honey, and it was raining on us there too. I remember we got down to like the last row or something, the last couple pallets, and it started raining. So, and I could see we were rushing because a lot of the lids were kind of askew when we came here. I didn't put them on straight, probably because we were rushing there too to fight the rain. So I didn't even get a hive count. So yeah, anyways, got maybe 13 total I want to rebuild here, all said and done. And so really not too bad. The hives didn't look as good as I was hoping. Those hives that I showed last week with the 5.5s that were just looking amazing, had that drone pupa on it, the ones that made us decide to start supering these 5.5s with foundation, came from these core group of colonies. And these set of hives were actually better because that other small yard came from over there, and those hives weren't as good. So I expected these to be as good or better, and honestly they weren't. As far as we could tell rushing, it seems like a lot of them swarmed. And I just think that was probably a mistake on my part, because these 5.5s have never been split. You know, they went to almonds, they came back, probably swarmed at the house, I don't know. Came out here, made Tupelo, made wildflower, and then we yanked the honey off. And, you know, shoot, we got, I want to say I got 5, 6, maybe 6 barrels of honey between Tupelo and wildflower just from you know, the 200 hives that we had here. So they were, needless to say, they were all packed out. Most of them were in 3 boxes, and when you pull the honey, you smash them in those 2 boxes. And it's been 5 or 6 weeks since I've been out here. What I should have done in hindsight is probably just went ahead and put foundation on them after we pulled the honey off, or, you know, as soon as I was able to. I just never thought I would see them draw foundation this late in the season, but maybe it's because they're so strong. I don't. Maybe it is all the rain. Maybe it's the 1-to-1 syrup this year and not, you know, the 2-to-1 that I usually feed. So I really don't know. So I'm kind of learning as I go here. But yeah, in hindsight, should have supered them. I think we could have cut down on swarming, and heck, maybe I would have more foundation drawn out. But what I need to do in this location, because we just really shortcutted it, is come back in a couple of weeks, refill these buckets, and look at these brand new buckets. They're so nice. I love them. And nothing's broken. Handles, it's so nice. I need to come back and refill these buckets in 2 weeks, and I'm sure they're going to drain them. And maybe that'll keep stimulating them to produce a little bit of wax, draw that foundation out. And if we have time, we'll go through and do a proper queen check. But you know, that's all that the weather allowed me to do today, or I thought was going to allow me to do today. So that's all right. All right, well, 2 more yards to do, and we'll be done with the outside yards. You know, I got home and jumped on the Bobcat, and I was about to unload the truck. And, you know, something just didn't seem right. And I couldn't really put my finger on it. Just something just seemed different. So I went ahead and unloaded the truck, you know, and I still couldn't figure out what it was. And then I got up and I just started walking around. I was like, something just doesn't look right. What in the world is going on? And then I was like, holy crap. I dropped my stinking spare tire on the trailer. It fell off. Look at that. Broke right off the stinking metal. So I'm going to go jump in the car and drive back to that B yard and go down the road and see if I can't find it. God, I hope I didn't land in the highway, man, and somebody hit it. That's a big tire. I'm going to go see if I can see it somewhere. Well, I found the trailer tire. It's over at the Smith's farm. Look at that. We ran over there. Must have fallen off coming down the road here. I don't see where it rolled up at. It rolled up over there. It's alive. All right, mission accomplished. Got her home safely. All right, we're at our jungle yard here, as you can see, or not see. There is a row of hives back over here, I promise. It's hidden. It's been raining non-stop, and this yard has always been a little psycho when it comes to the grass. Didn't bring the mower, of course, so we're just gonna run it over with the Bobcat and try to hopefully we can find all our hives and fix them. This yard here has 25 dead outs. It was an 88 hive yard, which is kind of a weird size for us, but I think it was like the last of a semi-load or something. Normally we run 48 or 96 or 120 to a location typically. So we're going to try to rebuild all 25. We do have 23 queen cells this week, so that will allow us to fix hopefully most of them. I'm sure there's some queenlets are dead, but we're going to get to it, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. It's just this rain every day is killing us. And when you've got a yard like that with this many dead outs, it's going to be a lot of work, and we have to rush. So we did, when we pulled honey, I remember we stacked a lot of these with the dead outs. I don't think we lost any comb. I usually leave all the lids stacked up somewhere. I can't see. They're here somewhere, I hope. And that way I don't have to bring lids when we rebuild the yard. And oh man, this grass is bad. This is insane. I don't know. Well, I'm near about bringing them over for this. So I don't know. I'm gonna run all this stuff over with the Bobcat so I can settle down. But yeah, it looks like there's still 25 here. Oh, there's the lids. Look at that. Oh yeah. Nice vines. I found them. All right, so that's all the lids we need, I think. If not, there might be some more around here. But this is the yard that usually that's all tallow there. Remember, we didn't get any tallow. And there are a lot of fields out there, but when you were driving by, usually they plant cotton or peanuts here every year. Looks like they're letting the field rest, so I don't see anything planted. So I'm a little concerned about that, because this is typically a really, really good fall almond yard for us. There'll still be some mustard that comes up, or, you know, they may even disc the field in, and then it'll generally come up. So it'll probably still be okay. But that's why I wanted to take the queen cells and drop them here, because generally close to 100% of these hives will make it to California if we can get them queen right and they got comb, keep some thin feed on them, and keep the mites down. This is also the yard, unfortunately, where we've gotten 50% mating 2 times in a row. You know, when we brought them in here, I think they swarmed. They were too big coming back from almonds, and then we got 50%, and then we rebuilt them and we had 50%, because I think last time there was like, I don't even know, 40 plus something were queenless or dead. It was really a disaster. I can see dragonflies flying around already, and those are bees up there, but I've already seen several. There's huge ponds and stuff out there, and the ponds are great for the bees, but they're also great for the dragonflies. So again, I suspect that's what's going on here, why the mating rate is. So even if we rebuild all 25, you know, I expect us to lose about a dozen or so. Just probably the queens are going to get eaten up. So we'll try to build them a little bit stronger. Maybe we'll still try to do 4 brood or something, even though we have cells. So maybe if their first queen fails, they'll have a chance to make a next one. Sometimes they don't do that, because the first queen will come around and kill all the cells. It just kind of depends. Yeah, we're just going to try to get to this today. And after this, we've got just one more yard besides the farm hives to feed and medicate. And we're also going to throw supers on these, a foundation. So maybe we can get something drawn out. They're looking really good, but they are absolutely, definitely honey bound. Pretty bad. Very little room for the queen to lay. Hopefully these supers we're going to give them will help a little bit. We'll have to see. So here's a triple one. This is one we probably just stacked a dead out on last time we were here. There's no excluder or anything. You can see there's some bees up there, some comb. It doesn't look like a lot. And that's probably its counterpart there, the medium, because most of this yard was hive and a halves. So what I'm going to do when I come to one like this, I'm just going to crack this deep off. I want to try to leave the yard as high. There are a few double deeps here, but I want to leave the yard primarily as hive and a halves. So I'm going to pop this one off. There's a dead out spot over there on that pallet, and I'm just going to carry that deep right over here. Then I'm going to come back, try to find the queen. I'm going to make sure the original queen's somewhere down in these two boxes. And, you know, make sure they've got about 4 brood, bees, honey, etc. And then I'm kind of going to do the same thing here. I'll have to find the queen here. And then I'm going to pop this top box off with the bees, and I'll stack it. And that'll remake that as a hive and a half. And then we'll drop the cells in there. And that should be a pretty strong split. The downside is just having to find all the queens. If we got 25 dead outs, we've got to find the 25 queens. And it can be a little tough when they're in triples like this. And because we generally only take 1/2 of the dead hive and put on as a super, you've kind of got to find 2 queens to rebuild 1 hive. So that's what's tedious. But you know, we want to make sure we keep these parent colonies strong. And if all goes well, we should be able to rebuild the whole yard today. Yeah, look at this. Look at all that. There's definitely nectar out there. They're bringing stuff in for sure. Don't know what it is. There's quite a bit of it. Frames are full. The brood's looking really good and healthy. And you know, I'm seeing a lot of drones. Not so much on this frame, but a lot of the other frames I've been pulling. Full of adult drones. I'm still seeing some drone brood. A couple of the hives have had drone pupa on the top bars. Man, they just look really, really nice. Thank goodness. So there's a single I rebuilt. It was just a deep on one of these hive and halves here. Popped it off. It was all solid honey, and then I gave it just 4 frames of mixed brood with bees. No queen in there. I'm going to give them a cell. And then I'm going to take that extra medium right here. No queen there either. Full of honey, a little bit of eggs, pollen, slam full of bees. I'm just going to slap it right on top of here and give them a queen cell, and I'll flag it. Like here, we'll do our little pin, little flag, so we know this was a queenless rebuilt colony. But look how strong it is. That's just the deep. Now the medium over there is just as strong. So if they continue to look this good, I may go ahead and give deep boxes of foundation to these rebuilds. That's not something I typically do because it's not established. But I mean, they really need it. I mean, there's literally 6 frames of capped honey in that box and 4 frames of brood. Almost entirely capped honey in that box. They need some kind of space. I think they can handle it. I'm probably gonna go ahead and do it. Look at that hive. I have not seen as much drone pupa since spring. You know what else I don't see? I don't see any mites on them. Nothing. That's amazing. Usually they're crawling with mites right now. Oh man, they look good. Like this one needs a box of foundation, you know, a month ago. This is crazy. We didn't get much honey off this yard. That's what drives me crazy. Like, we pulled, I don't know, we got maybe a barrel. We used those brand new boxes, brand new frames. Really got nothing. I was really disappointed because it's normally a good yard. And here they are, to me, have clearly made honey since we pulled it off, whatever it's been, a few weeks ago. I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but I don't ever remember August producing like this. We usually lose tons of hives in August. Mites are crawling, they're starving, they're robbing, and there's some of that, you know, and they're definitely not making honey. I don't know if it's been the rain, just because it's been raining. It literally has rained every day for weeks. And normally during our honey production, it didn't rain at all. That's why the tallow here didn't put out. We had weeks of no rain, got very little honey, missed our main honey crop. And I swear it's like it's raining and it's just, God, there's something else kicking on. I can't figure it out. That's all I can assume, it's all the rain, because I've never seen them look this good. And again, not every single yard has been like this, right? We've had a few bad yards, but a lot of the, at least these really strong hive and a halves that were not split after almonds have just, they're really kicking butt, man. Yeah, look at that nice double deep. Drone pupa. It's like some fresh honey. Look down there between the top bars. See all that capped drone pupa? Not a drone layer. It's a good fertile queen. She's laying her butt off. But a lot of drones. Man, if there weren't so many dragonflies here, I would say we were going to get a really good mating rating on these rebuilds, but I don't know. I don't ever think it's a drone problem. I think it's a dragonfly problem. So I don't know. They're more than strong enough for us to rebuild, though. They're wearing me out. They're so freaking heavy. I mean, like this one I'm lifting here feels like it weighs 100 pounds. It's just solid honey. But we'll be able to fix, looks like, the whole yard, and we're gonna have some leftovers. Okay, finished up this yard. It's a pretty yard. I'm not gonna lie, this yard tried really hard to kill us today. You saw the hives were looking fantastic. This side looked pretty darn good, although you'll see there are a lot of queenless that had to rebuild and a lot of dead outs that needed rebuilding. This side was preparing for world domination, I suppose, because they released the hordes on us, and I got stung so bad we had to just walk away. Had to jump in the truck for a minute. I've never seen the bees get like that before. I mean, it was like I had a thought in the back of my head. I was like, I wonder if I should go siphon some diesel fuel out of the Bobcat and light a couple of these suckers on fire. I'm not kidding. I mean, I was like, are they Africanized? What is going on? I've just never had them jump on me like that. And they tore my wife up really, really bad. And I don't know. And you see they're fine. I mean, it was overcast. There was a thunderstorm coming. There was a lot of queenlessness and drone layers on that side of the yard. But I'll tell you what really triggered it is when I first got here, I jumped on the Bobcat, and I started crushing all this grass, trying to yank the vines up. And I've noticed this in other bee yards, that if they're covered in a lot of grass and you yank it off, the bees get really stressed out. They don't like it. It's really like, honeybees orient to landmarks, and I think when you remove the weeds, when they're just that covered, I think you're kind of disrupting their ability to orient to the hive, and it puts them under a state of stress. And then on top of that, I'm running through this loud, noisy Bobcat. I'm slapping grass, and vines are twisting the boxes. They were so bad, those vines, and just make a lot of noise. And of course we were just tearing them apart and tearing their guts out to rebuild them. But all the flags here are queenless or dead or drone layers that we pinched. Most of them were the dead outs. There were 25 dead outs, and so there's quite a few flags. We only had I think the 23 queen cells. I kind of screwed up. I looked at my notes really quick this morning, and it was like, oh, I left all the lids from the dead outs, so I don't need to bring any equipment, because normally I'll bring a few lids, because there's always one or two we're missing, and there's a rotten one, whatever. And I realized that I guess I had picked up some lids from like a previous time we were here, and I just meant that I had left the lids from the last visit from the dead out. So we're short 6 lids, which I'll be honest, after today I don't care that much. But yeah, so there's 6 dead outs we were not able to rebuild, but we could have. They were extremely, extremely strong. No sign of mites, even though they're absolutely covered with drone pupa. That one's getting tore up a little bit. I need to shove some grass in there. We gave them syrup. We gave them medicine. We did give them boxes of foundation. I'm running out of my good boxes, so we're kind of dipping back into the old boxes, old frames, but they need it. They're just completely honey bound. They're completely pollen bound. We went from 25 dead outs, which would have meant 25 queenless, to I think 31 queenless. So total yard, we're like 38% of this yard is queenless. Now most of that were just ones we rebuilt, but we did lose some. And again, the problem with this yard is just the mating rates are so bad. I mean, I was literally seeing dragonflies laying on the grass out here when I was working. Like, they were just hanging out, like waiting for a queen to come on out. So it sucks, because the yard is doing so great. I wish I could have brought mated queens, but I just, I won't have mated queens for a while. So I didn't want to let this yard just to settle and slowly die off. So we went in and took the risk of rebuilding them. But I'm very aware that half of what we did today is kind of for moot, because they're going to get eaten, more than likely, or whatever. Something's happening to the queens. So that's a little disheartening. I definitely saw wax production, though, so I'm hoping they will draw out some of these frames. There's more than enough resources in this yard now to rebuild whatever does fail. It was a good 5, almost 6 weeks since I've been here. and we didn't lose any comb. So I'm grateful for that. Everybody was still kicking. And you know, even the queenless colonies, they look so good when you cracked them in half. I almost was like, I'm not going to pull a frame. And you know, I'd make myself do it because it's the right way to do it. And boom, it would just be full of capped honey and bee bread. But it'd be, you know, 15, 20 frames population of bees. They were fairly calm. Most of them were. So I don't know. It's really important to pull frames, because if we didn't, we would have overlooked a lot of colonies that we would have been able to save. It's hard when you're tripping on these vines. I mean, we were cracking those deeps off that were full of honey and carrying them over here to, you know, to a dead out spot on the pallet, and you're just tripping, you're falling. The bees are trying just to slaughter you. I mean, they were really crazy today. And it's just weird, because now they're fine. You know, one of them got me in the finger a second ago, but, you know, just to remind me they're there, I guess. But I don't know, they're just obnoxiously strong too. There were some of them I was pulling like extra brood out of them, because I was like, you girls are just too strong, you're too mean, I got to take some fight out of you. But you know, it's done, thankfully. We'll try to come back. I would love to come back here with mated queens. I don't know if that'll happen in the next month. At least try to come back with some cells. This yard's going to be a lot of work when we come back, just due to the bad mating rates. But other than that, they look fantastic. I wish, you know, everything that's queen right, I could load on a semi to almonds right now and they'd look fantastic. And they probably will too come almonds. Any hive that's queen right is pretty much, that's going to California. So it was critical that we came here and gave this yard another chance. And I'm gonna have to come and give them another chance here pretty soon. But you know, you got to do what you got to do. All right, that's it for today. We're pretty beat up. I'm gonna go pull the stingers out. We're having a lot of problems with these new boxes. You see how they're bowed out like that and the frames are falling in? A lot of them are that way. I thought maybe at first it was a pressure treating, but my wife and Emily have been building the boxes, and they told me it's just the wood from Man Lake was so warped when we got it that it bowed out. So we're going to try to kind of re-staple them and see if we can't pull that box in a little tighter. But I've already got a small pallet here just sorting stuff today that I can't use because I don't want the frames to fall. And I really wanted these to put supers on and see if they would draw out. I can always take the frames out of the box if we need to. I do want these new frames versus some of these older frames, but I would love to have these brand new pressure treated boxes that we bought. That's really frustrating. All right, I'm here at my new power line yard. That's why I call it a power line. It's got a power line. I moved these in on July the 1st, and I have not been here since that night. I remember that was a pretty long night. The group of hives that I took these from the other yard were pretty good. I see a few flagged hives here. There's one over there. Probably queenless, rebuilt, something was wrong with it. I don't see any bees coming out of it, or there's another one too. That one's also flagged. No activity, so I've got a couple dead outs, looks like. Definitely got a box needs to be changed for sure. They look okay though. Grass isn't too bad. The ones that I do see activity in the front of, they look pretty darn good. A lot of bees at the front, so maybe I can rebuild. This is the last outside bee yard that I have. And then we got to start tackling the farm hives. Whatever, a couple hundred singles. I think there's maybe 50 double deeps. I think we've got like, I don't know, maybe 100 minis out there. I bet most of them are dead. But I do need to go through and see if there's anybody still kicking. We'll have to get prepared, because I hope here in the next 2 weeks we'll be able to start making cells again at a decent scale. I can rebuild some of those minis. And I'm trying to figure out how many we want. We've had a lot of customers ask us about buying the queens if we can get them in October. Most people want them in September. That's what they're pushing me for. But I'm like, look, man, I can't even start grafting till September. It means your queens aren't going to be ready to harvest until October. But they keep trying to push me, and I'm like, I can't force the bees, man. Unless you can show me what I'm doing wrong with the cells, and I'll be happy to do it. I'd love somebody to tell me what I'm doing wrong. But you know, we'll try to figure out how many mating nukes to build, and I'm still trying to get a count on our queenless hives, which we should have here, you know, before the end of this month. I'll have a full count on all our colonies, the amount of queenless hives. That'll tell me how many mating nukes to build. And of course, I'm taking inventory and how much foundation is in each location, so we can figure out if we need to buy that comb or not from another beekeeper, or if we want to gamble that we can draw the little bit left that we need for ourselves doing these supers. Now I did, I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie guys, I'm a little tired. My arms are kind of like limb noodles from doing that mean yard yesterday. They took it out of me, and but I did promise I'm gonna rotate one of these 5.5 yards to put the deep on top and the medium on bottom. This is gonna be it. I don't want to do it. If I'll be honest, I'm not in the mood today. I'm just like, I have to. My wife's got a bottle of honey for the market tomorrow, and it takes her all day to get all that stuff ready. So I got to do this yard by myself. So I'm going to rotate the deep and the medium. I'm going to medicate them, put a bucket on them, put a box foundation on them, rebuild them. Man, I just don't feel like doing it. But it's got to be done, and you know, at least the next few days or however long it takes us to get through in all those farm hives, I'll be able to do it at the house. That's kind of nice. It's always nice working at the house. You can go in and take a break. Tend to work a little slower, I notice, when I'm working the house hives. Like, oh, let me just go in, take a little bit of a lunch, let me go get some water, let me go sit in the AC for a second. When you're out in the field like this, I only want to get back home. I'm like, let me just plow through this. Don't take a break. I don't stop. I don't take lunch. When we're out working in the BRs like this, I just eat dinner. I don't eat breakfast either. So I just kind of come out, plow through them, and get the heck out of here. When you're doing the home, working at the house, I'm like 50% as productive, because that air conditioning, man, it's tempting this time of year. But okay, that's enough rambling. I'm gonna get to this. I'll tell you one thing I am a little concerned about, and we'll see. Somewhere off in that direction, about, I think it's 0.7 miles as the bee flies from this location, is another yard where I've got 24 pallets. And we did that yard a few days ago, and they were just robbing the crap out of each other. I mean, there was one pallet that was just getting absolutely annihilated. Some of the worst robbing I've ever seen. And I wondered if it was because I dropped these hives so close. You know, it's hard to say, because that yard last year that was robbing, we had 12 pallets in it. We doubled to 24 pallets this year, which they did freaking fantastic. You know, we got 6 barrels of honey or something like that off that yard. It did really, really good. And then I brought these in, and I don't know what's going on. The hives over there look great. They were full of honey, but they just wanted to kill each other. So that's something I'm going to have to watch out for here. I'm sure those hives over there that are kind of out for blood may want to come over here while I'm working. And it may have been these hives that were robbing those. I don't know. I've never had bees that close to each other before. I've never had 150 colonies in August that close to each other before. So just something I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for. I don't want to leave frames of honey out when I'm rebuilding or anything for too long, because, you know, once they start robbing, you just, not much you can do about it really. You just kind of have to do your best to prevent it to begin in the first place. So I may still have to try to get out of here pretty quick, but I don't know. I'm going to tear into them, and we'll find out how they look here in a minute. I'm just 2 pallets in. This is the first one I've seen looked really good. It's got drone pupa too. They've not been very heavy. In fact, they've been a bit on the light side, which is kind of surprising to me, because the other hives that I brought, you know, from the area these came from were just honey bound, packed full. The populations are okay. This one's a good one. Like, this pallet here was very, like, iffy. The one that I had flagged from whenever I worked these forever ago, probably. It was alive, but still queenless. Had to rebuild it. And, you know, I was able to pull resources from these 3 colonies to fix that one. I gave it 4 brood and a frame of honey. But all 3 of these were, like, eating their honey back. And it's not a very overcast day. I mean, it's a pretty nice sunny day. So I figured they'd be out foraging. So there may not be a lot of food in this area. I don't know. I haven't seen any fresh honey or nectar. Haven't seen any disease, and I don't see any mites or anything on the drone pupa so far. I will say all the colonies have had capped drone pupa. This one has a lot. You know, this one had a lot. Those 2 not so much. So there's something out here enough to put them in a state of reproduction. So there's not 0, and there is a lot of fresh yellow pollen coming in. The hives are full of it, so maybe it's the protein that's triggering the drone production. But it does seem like we've got a shortage on nectar. But I'll have to keep going and see how they do with the rest of the yard. I still got a long ways to go. Quite a number of drones on the bottom board down here. There's a lot of them. A whole ton of them. It's so strange for me to see so many drones in mid-August. I don't know. Look, there's still, those are almond shells from pollination. You can tell I hadn't cracked this hive all the way open like this in a while. I never got the shells out. Well, here's one colony that definitely can't be rebuilt. Moss definitely got a hold of that one. Lost both boxes. That sucks. I could see I tried to rebuild it. The colony was flagged and there was a cell cup in there. Obviously it didn't take, or if it did, the moss outcompeted them. But, well, I guess right now then the best I can do in this yard is probably 47 hives. I can't keep it at its 48. That kind of sucks, but we always lose some. The other flags I've rebuilt so far, they've been good enough I can save them. The comb's been okay. Just gonna keep plugging away at it. This yard has just got a lot of spotty brood like this. See, it's patchy. There's larvae in there, there's fresh eggs in there. A lot of that fresh pollen. There were some of them I was seeing spottiness in the brood, and they were just kind of backfilling it with pollen. So I was like, well, they're getting honeybound, but this one's, it's very light. I don't see any signs of mite damage. I'm not gonna do an alcohol wash, so I'm gonna medicate them anyways. No deformed wings or anything like that, but the yard's just, I mean, it's not bad. It's just not impressive. You know, it's definitely like below average. Just so strange, you know, that I can take that big 200 hive group and split it, whatever I did, in 3. And every yard just looks so dramatically different over a period of whatever it's been, about a month or so. Maybe a month and a half. I mean, they weren't all equal anyways. And this group here was the side of that 200 hive yard that was making Tupelo. That was the worst. So that's part of it. But I don't know. I don't know if it's some queen issues here or not. If I keep seeing this, I'm just going to mark this yard as maybe if we have spare queens to come and requeen. And they may just be hungry. They are quite on the light side. Not starvation yet. Not that I've noticed. And I haven't seen any robbing. But they don't have any weight. The queens have more than enough space to lay, and they clearly are bringing in plenty of pollen. And I just don't see disease. So maybe it is 150 hives is too much in this general area. Maybe the hives were just bad when I brought them here. You know, it's hard to say. I don't know. I'm going to keep digging in them. You've got to be kidding me. They're following me. Can't make it a drink of water? Look at them. They're taunting me. Oh, man. Come on, buddy. They don't even care. Look at them. Oh, got a bad thunderstorm coming. Lightning, thundering. Don't really like being in an open field under power lines. Oh, I just got to get the buckets on and take inventory, clean up, and get out of here. I'm going to have to turn on the afterburners. I don't think they got much fuel left, but I'm going to give it a little shot. All right, finished just in the nick of time. Just starting to rain on me. I'm going to go ahead and get this outro filmed so I can make my outro. I've got one queenless hive. These are all dead outs that were flagged. 2 that were lost here due to wax moss. 4 boxes of comb gone. Couldn't save them. What's that? What did I just say? 2 queenless hives? I'm going to count this 2 because I need for my notes. 3 and 3 queenless hives. 4. I guess 4 queenless hives. 4 or 5. I'll double check. Not too bad really, because this yard has been so badly neglected. We went through them and checked them before, you know, they made Tupelo. So we go through and medicate them before Tupelo. And then as soon as we extract Tupelo, I throw the supers right back on. Don't dig in them again to make wildflowers. So it's been months really since these things have had to work, which could explain why they're kind of rough around the edges. I did have a mixed feeling about putting those boxes on them because these hives are just kind of meh. Yeah, I hear you, Lightning. Just give me 2 seconds. And so I had mixed feelings about that. My compromise was I didn't give supers to the ones that I rebuilt. I rebuilt them for brood, honey. Obviously, I don't have any cells or queens right now. And that's about it. I really need to come back here in about 2 weeks and retop these buckets off. They should have pulled them by then. And I'm going to get out of here before I die. All right, that's it for this week, guys. Thanks so much. Next week, I get to play with some singles, and my back is really going to appreciate it. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. Talk to you next week. Bye.